Good evening. Welcome to our public hearing to consider a submission of Restore New York Round 8 application to Empire State Development Corporation for a priority mixed-use property redevelopment project, and to hear citizen comments on property redevelopment and revitalization initiatives. I think we have our Economic Development Director, Jeff Flatt, to tell us about the project.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick comments. The council is probably familiar with the Restore New York program. This is a grant-funded program, Empire State Development Program, that historically has come out every couple of years. They sort of pushed together a few rounds in consecutive years, I think because of the COVID break that was taken. The project that we're looking to support is for Foothills Builders, who has a tentative contract to purchase the property at 109, 117, actually it's two parcels, Warren Street, which is currently owned by Margaret Gerard, and they're looking to build a mixed-use building, commercial on the first floor and several floors of apartments. We met with Empire State Development today. They had a very favorable view of the project. Obviously, it's a very competitive grant, so it's not by any means assured, but they did give us some guidance on that. The reason that the council is weighing in here is because the nature of this particular grant is that it is a city council submitted grant. That we won't incur any costs. All those costs will be pass-throughs to the developer, but the project itself has to be sort of submitted by the city council. I should mention that the city has submitted and received at least, well, 3 previous Restore New York grants. One in 2006 for Warren Street Square, Peter Hoffman's building. The city itself got one for South Street for the demolition of the several properties in anticipation of the DRI projects. And then just last year, I believe, or maybe late at the end of the year before, we received one for 178 180 Maple, which is the building owned by Andy Allison and Laura Carasone, his wife, to restore the building at that location. A project that's ongoing. So that's the purpose of this grant, and obviously the purpose of this hearing. Thank you.
Any questions, Jeff? Just maybe call you back up. Anybody have any questions about that?
Jeff?
Sorry.
Could you just kind of like walk us the way through? Does like a developer come to the city, or do we look for particular properties?
It sort of depends. I mean, the process for this grant, it sort of comes sporadically. There's no set time. It's not like the CFA where every summer, everybody applies for all the grants. I've heard through the grapevine, I can't confirm, that there may be another round of this later this year. It is a project where the city certainly has more than the ability to weigh in, since we are actually the ultimate applicant. You can have municipal projects that are Restore New York grants, although their ultimate use has to be as a commercial property. So essentially, we identify properties, the city identifies properties where developers come to us and say, if a Restore New York round comes up, we'd like to be considered. When it comes around, we speak to most of the developers. We see who's got the best opportunities for site control, who really in many ways either one needs the money more desperately, meaning the project like this one. One of the problems of this particular site, which has been vacant for a long, long time, is that it has buildings on it that need to be demolished. So the added costs of the demolition is something that they sort of weigh in. So, we've sort of identified, to your question about a specific process, I can't really say that there is a specific process because we don't really have there's no set time and place, and no guarantees we're going to get it, of course. Right? So we sort of put into our pocket the possibilities that we have, and once the application comes up, we can actually intend to apply. There's a letter of intent you send for up to 2 properties, and then once the agency, ESD, looks at it, they sort of give you the nod for one or the other and say, we would suggest applying for this one.
Any other questions?
Now turn around here.
Thank you. Anybody from the public who'd like to weigh in on our application for Empire State Development Corporation Restore New York grant?
My name is Steve Barata. I'm from Glens Falls. And hi. And I have a question. You mentioned mixed use, which is obviously commercial and then residential above. Are there any requirements for mixed use in terms of whether they're going to be market rate, above market rate, or what's called workforce or affordable housing? If it's the project I think it is, it's slated from what I understand to be market rate or above market rate. Is that correct?
It could be either. This particular grant does not require any one of them.
But can the city require to, as a condition of supporting the grant?
No.
I don't know. Not as a condition of this particular grant.
Okay. Okay. I was just curious because many of you know me know I'm a champion of affordable and workforce housing, and I just don't believe there is at all enough of it especially in downtown Glens Falls. So I would just like to speak in favor in general of more building. I know that the project on South Street is supposed to be some affordable housing, but we just need to look at ways to, creative ways to build more affordable housing in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment about the Restore New York Round 8 application? Not here. Peter, do we have any questions online? So with that, we'll close the public hearing, considering our Restore New York Round application, and we'll open the Glens Falls Common Council meeting of Tuesday, May 14, 2024. It's time for our regular session. And we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Donahue, please. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up, we have public comment, and I know that some of you have met with me over the last couple of weeks and are here to speak about our flag policy discussion. And if you are here to talk about the flag policy discussion, I'd like to ask you if you could hold. We have another, after we do our regular resolutions, we're going to open up to public comment, and we're going to pull the resolution for the flag policy till after your public comment. So I'd like to open up for public comment and ask it to not be about the flag policy just at this moment, so that we can give you all a chance to speak after we run through our resolutions. So, yes, Jeff?
I was just going to say I have some other comments about other resolutions.
Yes, any other, so if there's any other public comment that anybody would like to come, please come up and tell us your name and address and address the council, please.
Okay, thank you folks again. Just a couple of points. There's several resolutions on the docket. It's a pretty lengthy docket that I'd like to at least touch on briefly. One, of course, Resolution 8 is the one in question that we just passed or had the public hearing for. Resolution 11 is the rezoning of Greylock storage. You may recall several weeks ago now, several meetings ago, the mayor spoke. I think Tony Mastriano, who's here, who's the president of Greylock Storage, and their design folks are here. At the request of the mayor, at the end of that meeting, I met with Tony actually several times and talked about some potential opportunities they might have to sort of look at alternatives. As you may know, we have had some plans in the past that have looked at alternatives for that Broad Street corridor. We had a very productive discussion, and I think it was very constructive. And I think the issue is that at this point, right, Greylock is a fairly newcomer, having purchased the property from Mullen Movers within the last, let's say, 18 months. Not really, I don't think they're comfortable at this point expanding to the point where they're looking at another location, which is what we had sort of proposed, and couldn't really find something that fit well. That doesn't preclude the possibility down the road. One thing we did talk about, though, was the fact that, and I think this was brought up by Councilman Landry in a previous meeting, that, although we've had some visions of this corridor as being perhaps redeveloped, maybe as an office corridor or something along those lines, we've talked about the possibility of being mixed use in various ways. I think their proposal, and they do have some drawings, which I think you have at least a version of in the packet, are consistent with what we're looking for with that corridor, which is to make it more of a welcoming corridor on its way down to South Street. And the fact of the matter is that as we sort of look at high-density downtown housing, it may well be that these kinds of storage units are more complementary than in contrast or in conflict with the sort of the entrance into the city. I do think that the planning board should look closely at the aesthetics, and I think they're more than open to trying to make sure that this is sort of a welcoming entrance into the city. There's three other resolutions I want to mention briefly. One, Resolution 19, is the Newark Power Authority solar resolution. This is one that you may recall in the last council meeting, I and Ben Quozo from NYPA had talked about the resolution to choose a developer to work on the landfills, potentially the two landfills as well as the Civic Center. This is not signing a contract or agreeing to sign a contract. This is allowing authorizing the mayor to work with the developer of choice from NYPA to sort of firm up plans for the solar projects. And then numbers 20 and 21 are added services for Envision, the architect's firm doing the Market Center on South Street, and also AJ Architecture, the owner's representative. These are essentially added services as a result of two different things primarily. One of them are changing circumstances and changing designs from the city, and the other are infrastructure challenges that we've run into. During the course of the project, circumstances have dictated occasional changes to designs, whether it is for some of the site work. A lot of these changes have to do with sort of the landscaping and site work. You'll remember that we added the Pocket Park, ended up getting moved onto this site, which was not originally intended. We also have been in touch with the adjacent landowners, particularly Mike Cadis in the building at 38 Elm behind the Market Center, and Peter Shabbat's property next door, both of which have created some opportunities and some challenges. Opportunities in the sense that Mr. Cadis has been open to perhaps allowing some access to his parking lot behind the Civic Center or the Market Center, which would then has required us to sort of redesign the sort of the back of the Market Center there for the landscaping, for the fencing, for gates and things like that. In the case of Mr. Shabbat's property, there was a small problem, potentially large problem with, as we were digging along the fence line, some of the soil was coming out underneath. His property behind doesn't have a floor. And so you were basically digging out and the land was coming out. So we had to redesign the fence out so it wouldn't create any erosion from that. Those are just examples. The biggest challenge we've had as far as unforeseen problems has been infrastructure problems, particularly electrical and water and sewer. In the case of electrical problems, the original design was to remove the power pole that's in the middle of the Market Center site. We ended up having to sort of we're now going underneath the Market Center property to connect to 38 Elm, Mr. Cadis' property, and 36 Elm, and 45 South, the two properties that we're redeveloping together with this. Ironically, the mayor and I found great pleasure or comfort in finding out that it was originally going to cost $600,000, and we got it down to about $60,000. So only in municipal government do you find a $60,000 infrastructure cost to be a great blessing. But that's what it was. That's not the cost of the work that has to be done. That's the cost of the national grid work, right? We still have some electrical costs that are included, but what these essentially are the redesign costs that we have, right? So when we have these sort of unforeseen problems, the architects and of course then at our end of the owner's representative who has to sort of help us work through these things has been working with those. I will say that even with all the changes, and the mayor has asked me, and I was going to say it wasn't too recently, but it wasn't a while ago, to try and gather together some of these numbers. And I understand, and I know you're probably like I've been for a while, a little bit at odds to try and figure out where do we stand with all these projects. I'm working primarily with HAA, but also, of course, we have the other projects in the DRI, most notably the streetscaping project to try and figure out ultimately where we stand with the costs on this. I don't think you're going to find them to be, oh my God, numbers when we get there, but obviously we have to be prepared for where we are and where we're going. What I will say is that the costs that have been incurred by the architects and by the owner's representative are still well within the range of the original quotes that we got for both of those services 2 years ago, right? So despite the fact that we've had, in the case of Envision, I believe we've had 12 added service requests. In the case of AJA, I think there's 7. Some of them small, some of them large, some of them just due to extensions of time. We're still, as I say, within the well within, by the way, the range of costs that we got way back then. I think that's all I had for now, unless there's any questions.
I have a question
Sure.
in regard to number 11. That is in the brownfield opportunity area, is that correct?
It is.
And that part of what the brownfield opportunity area is, we're going to take a look at what we have for zoning in those areas. So does it seem like it's appropriate to be changing zoning when we haven't gone through the BOA yet?
I think your question is a good one, and I think in this case, if you want to call it transgression, is a pretty minor one, and it's also something that doesn't preclude the fact that what we're doing is we're asking for something slightly more than it allows, rather than something slightly less, which would then be more restrictive to add to. So there's nothing that sort of precludes us from saying we'd like to sort of encourage the rest of this block perhaps into being a different zoning area.
It just seems like this is the time when we could say, we're not going to make a change to the zoning until we've had a chance to look at this comprehensive plan change and the BOA to see what we actually want to do there, and before kind of tying our hands for 3 properties.
You make a decent point, and I think the question you have to sort of ask yourself is the transgression egregious enough that it requires them to wait perhaps a year or two, and keep in mind too that it's also a project that doesn't preclude us from having them if they were to expand somewhere. Storage units are not something that's a huge investment that couldn't be done elsewhere. The other question you have to sort of ask yourself is this? They're not planning to move, and so it's not as if the city is going to claim the property. I mean, we're not going to claim it by eminent domain. So what is already there is. But there's no requirement that it has to go away.
What's already there is owned a certain way.
Well, and what I think we could get is a more, what I would call aesthetically pleasing, much more aesthetically pleasing than what we currently have there, which they're under no obligation to change, right? So I think we benefit by working with them to sort of make this a more appealing site, rather than saying, we're going to preclude you from making any changes, in which case, if they can't get the benefits of sort of expanding, they don't really have an incentive, in my mind anyway, to sort of improve the property as it is. I mean, as I said, I know they're here and they can talk to you about the aesthetic improvements, but that would be my take on the whole thing.
I just think that when we're going through things, when we're doing multi-million-dollar projects, we should be mindful of not tying our hands about what we may be doing down the road.
Vote taken. That's a council decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment that doesn't have to do with flagpole? Then we will move to voice vote, committee reports. I apologize. I missed the same thing. It's at the top of my page. Committee reports, Councilman Donahue.
We are working, Jeff, and the Sustainability Committee is working with Michael. And the only question I had, are we going to be buying the solar panels, or are we going to be, we are buying them?
No,
Then, all right, okay. We will be leasing.
We're
not paying you by the hour.
Yes, just so you know that the proposal that you have there, the recommended proposer is going to be using a community solar model, in which case we would be getting we would be leasing the property and potentially getting the offtake of some of the things.
Thank you.
There you go. Yeah, he stole your thunder, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's great. Councilman Landry.
No report.
Councilwoman Palmer.
Yes, the Building and Codes Committee met last night. We were considering the quote we got from Civics Plus to upgrade our software for building and codes. We all agree that this software will be an improvement for the city and also for our constituents because it allows coordination of work behind the scenes. For example, packets between the zoning coordinator and the planning board, things like that. The assessor's office and the building and codes department. It also has a public-facing portal where people can see the progress of their applications and violations and pay fees, all of that stuff. We were a little bit, we weren't extremely happy with their original quote. We went back to them and negotiated, and they did give us one discounted quote. We tried to negotiate further, and they didn't want to go any further. But we are not locked into a long-term contract, so our committee is recommending that we go forward with that, and I think you'll see that on our next council agenda. We also had the report that we've hired a new fire prevention officer, which is very good because that person will be able to help with building inspections. Also, our code enforcement officer and our other code enforcement employee both passed their civil service exams, which is great. And then the last thing is that we've had some emails from various constituents asking us if we're planning to do anything in terms of zoning related to cannabis. As Councilman Lapham just mentioned, we are about to do a large zoning update, and so we're hesitant to do a lot of detailed zoning updates right now, but there may be some smaller immediate changes that could be necessary. So at our next committee meeting, our code enforcement officer and our planning and zoning employee are planning to present us with some information for discussion. We'll be meeting on June 3rd at 5:30. Also, the Recreation Committee will be meeting on 5/23 at 1 p.m. We will be looking at quotes we have received to continue our work to upgrade our facilities, our bathrooms, and field houses at our parks, to build a lacrosse practice wall at Murray Street for our teams who have requested it, and to make sure we have all the details in place for our community day event on Memorial Day, which the community is invited to celebrate all the improvements we've had to our parks, the new courts, the new field, the updated fields, and things like that. That's it.
Thank you. Committee reports, Councilman Lapham.
The tech committee met on May 1st at 5:30. We had an update on Orville Fire, which does our cyber security stuff. And we talked about doing a mock disaster response tabletop exercise where we would see where we stand in case of some kind of emergency discontinuation of services, how we can get things going again and see where we're at, and then try to kind of focus our efforts around the results of that tabletop exercise. We talked about records management software, and we wanted to get Megan and Wayne. They've been out of town and out of the office for a little while. We wanted to get them ready to talk with Barbara Tierney in Queensbury. We discussed the C-Fix update, and this is one that covers building and codes and technology. We kind of, one of the things that we thought was difficult in trying to process was that we're doing the C-Fix. It's not even implemented yet. We're looking to add this other module from the same company, and they, were reluctant to give us any kind of discount on that. So that's neither here nor there now. As Diana said, we kind of said that, gave it the okay to move along with our misgivings. We also I need to do some more work with the cable franchise agreement. I have some go-tos for that. Web accessibility, we kind of went through what our website upgrade is going, and they say that it's going to cover Section 508, but they also want to charge us for Section 508. So they said that they could do something that was more than the minimum requirements for extra. And so we're just going to see what they have for actual 508 compliance. We talked to StarTech about SharePoint, Word, Excel, Teams, and OneDrive, and getting training for people on staff. And Chip was going to bring that up in department heads meeting. The backup for M365, Microsoft 365 is live now, so if somebody loses some emails or something like that, we have it on the cloud. We got an update on computers that need to be replaced, and talked a little bit about transitioning from cityofglensfalls.com to cityofglensfalls.gov, and somebody may be sitting on the domain name. So we're looking to see if there's alternative names that we might be able to go to. The cameras are nearly live. They'll hopefully be live this month in Headlands Cove and Crandall Park. And we were also just talking about having incident response. It's not cyber related, but just anytime that we have critical disruptions in the city, that we have some kind of software to help formalize a response process and notify the proper individuals. That was that for that. And just a reminder, Sustainability Committee meeting is on Monday the 20th at 5:45.
Thank you. Committee reports, Councilwoman Good.
No report.
And so moving forward, we have two items under voice vote. One is a resolution to approve the minutes of the April 23rd, 2024 meeting of Glens Falls Common Council. Two is a resolution to approve the clerk's monthly PBV report. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Passed. Any opposed? Thank you. So under roll call vote, I would like to pull number 4 and number 5. They've got mistakes, and I have to have them redone and submitted to be on next Common Council agendas. And then number 39 is the resolution regarding our flagpole. I'd like to pull that for discussion, and we'll do it at the end right after public comment, if that's okay and acceptable to the council.
I don't have 39 on mine.
It was
Separately down, sent by Chip.
yeah, it's sent out
It's
yesterday.
not,
Yeah,
I didn't receive it. Well, I mean, I probably received the email on it.
gotcha. I will. We can get you a copy of it while we.
I've got the,
okay.
I got
The resolution.
the policy, but not the.
Oh, okay. The resolution is simply on 39. There's a copy. Oh, there you go. I should give you a copy. Okay, so I'm going to pull 39 and for discussion, and then 4 and 5 because there's errors and I need to fix them. So we won't be passing them tonight. Are there any other roll call vote items that the council would like to pull for discussion?
11.
11. Any others? Thank you. Not hearing any, we'll go to resolution number 3, is to waive under roll call vote. Resolution to waive open container law with a favorable opinion from the Board of Public Safety on June 2nd, 2024, from noon to 4 p.m. during the Lower Adirondack Pride Festival to be held in City Park. The event holder, along with the vendor, Common Roots, will maintain boundaries and consumption will be strictly confined to the park, excluding the property owned by the Crandall Trust. 4 is pulled. 5 is pulled. 6 is a resolution to increase revenue code A009999-1589, miscellaneous public safety income by $820.56, and increase expense line A23120-4319, education by $820.56. This is a reimbursement from LexisNexis. 7 is a resolution to increase code A009999-1589, miscellaneous public safety income by $200, and increase expense line A23120-4352, MV repair parts by $200. These funds were received as proceeds for the sale of a 2014 Ford Interceptor police cruise vehicle. This vehicle was deemed beyond repair, unsafe, unable to pass New York State inspection. 8 is a resolution to authorize the City of Glens Falls to apply and receive funding under the Restore New York Communities Initiative Round 8 grant program to facilitate mixed-use redevelopment of 2 vacant and underutilized adjacent parcels at 109 and 115-117 Warren Street to help facilitate redevelopment, new housing, and commercial revitalization along Warren Street corridor. Be it further revised or resolved that the mayor is authorized to execute any contract and/or grant agreement with ESD in connection with the Restore New York Round 8 application if awarded. 9 is a resolution to accept Grasshopper Gardens, Inc. proposal in the amount of $66,109.20 in regard to CGF 24-01 RFP for 2024 tree purchase and planning as the only reliable submitter, and therefore increase revenue line A009999-4089 General Government Aid ARPA by $41,000, increase A6711-4459 Forestry Services by $41,000, and increase the balance of the tree purchase and planning funds of $25,000 that was included in the 2024 general fund budget for city reforestation tree replacement purposes. 10 is a resolution to increase revenue line A009999-4089 government aid ARPA by $20,000, increase A23120-4479 police other contracted services by $20,000 to allow for the police department to replace the HVAC system in the police station as the system there has now failed. Surround Plumbing and Heating and Air Conditioning will be the contractors. These monies are ARPA funds that the mayor and the council have allocated to the department heads to spend on items they felt were in need of their respective departments. 11 is pulled. 12 is a resolution to authorize the controller to increase revenue line A009999-489 government aid ARPA by $8,703 to increase budget expense line A6721-4479 stadium and other contracted services by $8,240 and budget expense line A6721-4360 stadium seed soil by $216.13 and budget expense line A67210437 stadium electrical supplies by $246.70. These monies are to pay for expenses incurred in the bleacher pad at East Field. 13 is to authorize the controller to increase revenue line A009999-4089 government aid ARPA by $5,142 and increase budget line expense A67140438 rec DPW plumbing and heating by $4,772.65 and budget expense line A6714-4375 rec DPW hardware by $369.35. These monies are to open the buildings at all the playgrounds throughout the city as attached. 14 is a resolution to authorize the controller to increase revenue line A009999-4089 government aid ARPA by $63,066 to increase budget line fire department by A23410 motor vehicle equipment by $63,060 for the purchase of a 2024 hybrid F-150 fire vehicle. 15 is a resolution authorizing the city community department development annual payments in the amount of $3,117.84 to support the engineering work in the CBG eligible area ahead of infrastructure project to reimburse expense of not-for-profits for program year 2023 agreement. 16 is a resolution to approve the award of new one-year extension rate structure agreement between Marvio Inc. for off-site grit and screen hauling services with a favorable recommendation from the Glens Falls Water and Sewer Board, and also to authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement in the form of approved by the city attorney. 17 is a resolution to award bid CGF-2406 2024 full block length curb sidewalk replacement to Peter Luisi Brothers Contracting, Inc., in the amount of $1,496,339, and to authorize the mayor to enter into agreement in a form approved by the city attorney. 18 is a resolution to authorize the controller to increase revenue line A00999-4089, government aid ARPA, by $3,050, and increase police police A23120-4479, other contracted services, by $3,050 to pay for construction costs associated with installation of data lines to Kramer Park and Haviland's Cove for camera security systems. 19 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the New York Power Authority to pursue development of the Glens Falls Clean Energy Project, a project that will involve the installation of PV solar on several sites in and around the city of Glens Falls using NYPA's recommended proposer, referred in the attached materials as bidder C. 20 is a resolution to authorize the payment to Envision Architects in the amount of $83,370 for additional services related to the design and construction of the 3 DRI Revitalization Initiative Finance construction projects in the Glens Falls Market Center, the South Street Pocket Park, and the Market Square. 21 is a resolution authorizing the payment to AJA Architecture in the amount of $68,000 for additional services related to the design and construction of the 3 Downtown Revitalization Initiative Finance construction projects, the Glens Falls Market Center, the South Street Park, and the Market Square. 22 is a resolution to adopt New York State Pro-Housing Community Pledge for the City of Glens Falls, which confirms the city's interest and intent to address housing availability and affordability crisis in the city and the state. The pro-housing community designation from New York State means the city will receive high priority in applications for key discretionary funding grant programs, including the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, the New York Forward Program, the Regional Council Capital Fund, capital projects from the Market New York Program, the New York Main Street Program, and the Public Transportation Modernization Enhancement Program, among others. Sorry. 23 is a resolution to approve the encroachment permit renewal number 4-2024 Downtown City Tavern, 21 Elm Street, Glens Falls, for the placement of chairs and tables in front of the businesses for a period from June 1st, 2024 to May 31st, 2025 in compliance with PROAG regulations for public access on the sidewalk is shown in the approved layout. 24 is a resolution to approve encroachment permit renewal number 20-2424 for Downtown City Tavern, 21 Elm Street, Glens Falls, to place a temporary 20 by 30 tent with anchors in Downtown City Tavern permitted patio area. An agreement that, if requested by the City of Glens Falls, that the tent and anchors will be removed within 5 days of notice from June 21st, 2024 through May 31st, 2025, with the understanding that snow removal from the area would be Downtown City Tavern's responsibility, and also the encroachment is with a yearly renewal. 25 is a resolution to approve the encroachment permit renewal number 21-2024 for IBS Septic and Drain Services, 2 Lawrence Street, Queensboro, New York, to dig into the road into Parker Street for a new water line at 18 Parker Street, Glens Falls, as well as new sewer line from May 20th, 24 through May 24th, 24 for the following city engineer standard requirements. 26 is a resolution to approve an encroachment permit number 18-2024 is approved by Mayor Collins on April 16th, subject to retroactive common council approval per city code S189-19B for Sean Lambert, owner of 113 Bay Street, Glens Falls, to have Better Than New Partners, Inc., 91 Manus Road, Queensbury, to place a man lift on the sidewalk in front of 113 Bay Street for repair on the building from April 16, 2024 through April 19, 2024, with the understanding the area is to be cordoned off with proper signage to allow for pedestrian access on sidewalks according to PROAG regulations. 27 is a resolution to approve encroachment permit number 19-2024 for WorkSmart Network, Inc., 37 Glen Street, for the placement of a sandwich board sidewalk in front of 237 Glen Street from June 1st, 2024 through May 31st, 2025 in compliance with the PROAG regulations for public access on the sidewalks. 28 is a resolution to approve an encroachment permit renewal number 2-2024 for Park and Elm Street, 15 Park Street, Glens Falls, for the placement of chairs and tables in front of the business for a period of June 1st, 2024 through May 31st, 2025, in compliance with PROAG regulations. The public access on the sidewalks is shown as an approved layout. 29 is a resolution to approve the encroachment permit renewal number 3-2024 for Bullpen Tavern, 216 Glen Street, for placement of chairs and tables in front of the business for that period, June 1st, 2024 through May 31st, 2025, in compliance with PROAG regulations for public access on the sidewalk. 30 is a resolution to approve mobile food unit license application renewal number 23-2024, Karen Squires, DBA Squires Kettle Corn, Company. Wow. 42 County Route 53, Greenwich, which has been approved to vend in the city of Glens Falls for a seasonal 6-month license from May 15, 2024 through November 15, 2024. 31 is a resolution to approve the mobile food unit license application renewal number 2022-2024, Kurt Bauerschmidt, DBA Wild Bill Soda, 180 Fonda Road, Waterford, New York, as approved by the event in the Glens Falls City Park for Larac Summer Arts Festival with a 1-week license from June 8, 2024 through June 9, 2024. 32 is a resolution to approve mobile food unit license application number 16-2024 from Laura Doan, DBA's Laura's Raw Honey, 115 Sunnyside Hillside Road, Benton, PA, to operate a weekly mobile food unit license in Glens Falls City Park, June 8th and 9th for the Larac Arts Festival. This is the first of 2 applications from the same customer. Resolution is retroactively approved. Mayor Collins on April 22nd to mobile food unit license number 17 from Laura Doan, DBA Laura's Raw Honey, to operate a weekly mobile food unit in Glens Falls and City Park from May 11th through May 12th through the Zonta Arts Club Fair. 34 is a resolution to approve mobile food unit license application renewal number 18-2024 for Joseph Nancy Gonzalez, DBA Kona Ice of Clifton Park, to operate a weekly mobile food unit in Crandall Park on July 3rd for the Glens Falls Symphony Summer Pops concert. 35 is a resolution to approve mobile food unit license application 19-2024 from Christian Ryan, DBA Springbrook Howell Farm Distillery, 133 Clements Road, Queensbury, to operate a weekly mobile food unit license in City Park from May 11th and 12th through May 11th, 2024 to May 12th, 2024 for the Zonta Club Arts Fair. 36 is a resolution to approve mobile food unit license application renewal number 21-2024 for Haley Gerard, DBA Jenny Joe's Smoothie Bar, 92 Hunter Street, Glens Falls, has been approved to vend in the City Park, Glens Falls seasonal 6-month license May 15, 2024 through November 15, 2024. 37 is a resolution to approve mobile food unit license application 20-24 Shannon Rose, DBA 80K Catering LLC, Culinary Creations, 21 Robin Lane, Lake George, has been approved to operate a seasonal mobile food unit in the city of Glens Falls from May 15, 2024 through November 15, 2024. 38 is a resolution for the council to accept the 3+1 investment policy guidelines for the city of Glens Falls as attached. And 39 is pulled. 40 is a resolution to approve our warrant. Do we have a motion for a roll call vote?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Donahue?
Yes.
Councilman Landry?
Yes.
Councilwoman Palmer?
Yes.
Councilman Wentworth?
Yes.
And Councilman Booth? Yes.
Great, thank you very much. Number 11 is a resolution pulled for discussion. Councilman Lapper?
So just kind of going over the same questions that I had for Jeff. To me, this is in the fourth ward. I really feel like we're doing BOA, we're doing comprehensive plan. I don't feel like we should be changing zoning code until we've had the chance to review those. So I have a negative opinion towards this resolution.
Thank you. Any other comment? Do we have a resolution to go to roll call vote? So do we have a second? Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Donahue?
Yes.
Councilman Landry?
Yes.
Councilman Palmer?
Yes.
Councilman Lambo?
No.
And Councilwoman Good?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Number 39, if you don't mind, I'd like to hold it until the very end, if that's okay with everyone. So we'll go to old business. And old business, Councilman Donahue. Old business?
No businesses.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Landry.
No.
Councilman Palmer.
Yes, I just wanted to give a couple shout outs to some city employees. Last Saturday, I was at the farmer's market and I saw some people who were kind of upset, and one of them was a constituent who pulled me over, and there was some big graffiti that was visible to everybody at the farmer's market. And I was able to reach out to Tom Gerard on Saturday morning, and by later that same afternoon, DPW had come out and painted it over. And my constituent said how grateful they were that the city was so responsive, and I was really grateful for DPW that day. I also wanted to thank Bill Norton. I had a constituent upset about an issue related to water, and the constituent reached back out to me and said that Bill, who's our water superintendent, went and spoke to the constituent personally, helped to work on resolving his issue. And I think that we really are fortunate that we have very dedicated, hardworking city employees. I just wanted to note that.
Thank you. Old business, Councilman Lamb.
Just a couple of questions from some of the stuff that just passed. Do we know where the tree plantings are going to happen for the 66,000 that we just spent, or that we just allocated?
We just allocated. So we have a tree inventory. We have a list of trees that we've taken down over the last several years and haven't planted. We've reached out to, or are reaching out to those residents to see if they would like a tree to replacing the tree that we took down. And then other than that, the tree commission is being asked to look in each of their respective wards and come up with any ideas that they think are neat, and that's where we're coming up with that list.
Okay. For resolution 16, there is a approval to award an extension rate structure agreement. Do we know what about the dollar figures are for that?
Yeah, it's in your packet, but it's for the off-site grid, the amount of grid that grit and material that's in our screens. We have to dispose of it, and so those folks changed their rate, and it has gone up, and they've reached out to other organizations, and they're all the same, and so the Water and Sewer Commission is recommendation that we go with that, and it's also within their current budget.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, yeah, and I can have Bill reach out to you too when you find it. If you have any more questions, he'd be glad to.
Yeah, just one more thing. When you have these like post-dated kind of sidewalk encroachment permits, we're saying with the expectation that it's already passed. So does anybody follow up to make sure that the PROACT regulations were followed?
Well, our engineer, as we approve those things, our engineer definitely, I don't know that in building and codes that they know any problems, and if so, we stop the work and make them address it.
I mean, we're saying that it says like with the expectation that they follow these, but it's already happened. This is from April 19th.
Sure.
So it's like either remove the language or like, or we should have followed up on it.
Okay. I'd be happy to remove language for any resolutions that are retroactive resolutions. Okay?
Yep.
Great. Councilwoman Gooden, old business.
I'd just like to give a shout out to our DPW, our constituents. It was actually on one of our county council resolutions about the Murray Street, the garden. And I reached out to town, and they're very happy. They have their backs. So I just want to say thank you a lot, because the deers was eating up all their vegetables. So thank you.
It's great. It's great to hear that deer are in our parks too, right? We're doing something right. Let's see. New business. Councilman Donahue, new business.
Okay, this time.
Councilman Lehman.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. I'd like to recognize Jimmer Fredette tonight. I see that Jimmer's going to play basketball representing the United States of America in the Olympics in July in France. He took a Glensville basketball team to a state title. He took Brigham Young University to the NCAA. He got drafted by the NBA. He played for a while in the NBA, and then he went international and played overseas. We've had wonderful successes, correct myself, with our basketball players. JG3 followed. In the past, we've had great baseball players, Dave LaPointe and Dave Palmer. So I wish Jimmer a lot of good luck, and I'm going to watch those. So when they say that's Jimmer Fredette from Glens Falls, New York, I can applaud. So good for you. Secondly, is more of a question than anything else. I know at some point in time, building and codes will probably be addressing Airbnbs. And listen, you guys have done a yeoman job taking a dead-on arrival building and codes department and making it what it is today, and I compliment you greatly for that. I've had a couple calls from constituents in my ward asking if we had any regulations, which I told them we did not. But one of them asked an interesting question, which was, if you live in a neighborhood and your property is zoned R1 residential, you can't run a real estate office out of it. You can't run very many small businesses. If you get caught, you probably can't run any businesses. But I asked this of the city attorney, do Airbnbs, are they considered businesses that can't be run in residential areas?
For leasing it for occupancy, so it's a tenant. It would be like leasing your house to a tenant.
So it's something.
Right. But we could develop regulations relative to that.
All right, thank you. That's all.
Thank you. New business, Councilwoman Palmer.
Just to follow up, Councilman Lambert, I think you know we have extensively looked at Airbnbs in that department. There's been all kinds of holdups, including the contract that the county canceled with Granicus and all of that. But because we are about to engage in an update of our comprehensive plan and our zoning regulations, we really feel like that's the best time to address Airbnbs, because there will be resident input involved and a professional planner who will help us do that. But I agree, and I think we all agree that that needs to happen. The other thing I was thinking about it as we were reading all 40 of these resolutions. Have we ever looked into just developing a consent agenda, which is like another option according to Robert's rules, where it could all be, it would just be one thing we had to adopt instead of sit here and read all of these out loud. Just something maybe to think about for efficiency's sake. We could still pull things for discussion and ask questions, but maybe something to look into. Save you some breath.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. I never looked into it, but certainly we can.
Okay.
I noted that I was at the county supervisors meeting today, and I was envious of their doing exactly that.
Yeah.
I thought, boy, I really need to pay more attention to this, so thank you.
We also talked about having a summary, like if you had 5 encroachment permits or 5 mobile food license units, have one resolution to approve the attached applications. Then you're not reading 10 mobile food units. So
Absolutely.
I think Emily, you said the clerk's office will work with Chip on creating that type of resolution.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other new business? Councilman Lappin, new business. Mary, Councilwoman Goodman, I apologize.
I just want to just comment on this Saturday, May 18th, there's going to be a climate action walk, and it's gather at 1 o'clock at Glens Falls City Park, and then we'll march to Crandall Public Library. Up to the Crandall Park, and then from there there'll be speakers and action tables, and it's going to be a good group of speakers, students even from Glens Falls High and St. Mary's, and a great group of speakers. So it's really just to make everyone just, our climate, we all have to work on it. It's all of our job. So it's just a good opportunity for you to get out Saturday, May 18th. Thank you.
Thank you. So now that we're done with that, let's open this back up. What I was hoping to do is open up to public comment, let people come and address the Common Council, and then I'll give the council a moment to speak as well, and then we'll have a resolution. We'll do a roll call vote for Resolution 39, which is to approve the attached the flagpole amendment resolution. So if anybody would like to address the Common Council in public comment, please come up and let us know your name and your address, and we'd love to hear from you. Hi.
I'm Judy Carey. I live at 46 Wedgewood in Queensbury. So my comments regarding the flags on city property. Flying a flag because of sexual preference should not even be brought up, in my opinion. What people do in their private life does not warrant everyone knowing about it by having a flag. I am a Christian, a committed follower of Jesus Christ. The Bible says that God made male and female, 2 genders, that's all. This is my belief and my preference. If our Christian brothers and sisters ask for a flag to be flown in our honor, will that same consideration be given to us? If not, the pride flag or any other social preference should not be given either. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
My name's Steve Stevens. You've heard the names from some letters that have come your way. Thank you for receiving them, and I've got a few responses back. I live on 23 Western Ave in Glens Falls. You know where my position is. I think that I just consider myself a patriot that believes that the only flags that should fly on the pole are government speech flags, specifically the United States flag, the one that we pledge our allegiance to. And I really respect what you guys have gone through. I've watched, in my business career, I spent a lot of time doing these kinds of meetings, so I watched online because I couldn't be here the last 2 meetings, and you've done it with diligence and some real sensitivity, I think, around this topic. I said in my note to you, and I really believe it, that the conversation appears to be not framed around the flag, the United States flag and the flagpoles, but rather about other issues. So I think my recommendation is to keep it focused on the United States flag and the flagpoles. Now that's where I stand, but I have a couple of comments, questions around the resolution, the policy itself. And the policy, I think the policy is well drafted. I think there's some questions specific to the national heritage organizations. Has any requested to, other than your current request you're considering, has any requested to have a flag flown in Glens Falls?
Not currently.
Okay, so would the next step be to, is it okay to ask questions?
Sure.
Okay, so would the next step be to invite them or just
wait until they're aware of a policy that exists in Glens Falls?
Right, well, the current policy that we're going to review tonight and possibly approve, it simply says that if you are, if there's a group that's having an event in Glens Falls
Right.
that is looking to celebrate Heritage Month,
Right.
then they could apply. And so no, for other things like banners or whatever, we don't seek out people. We wouldn't seek anybody out and say, hey, there is a Heritage Month, are you interested? It's more of people would apply, and if they apply, those are the guidelines we would use to accept.
Okay, understood. So if no one applies and only 1 month out of the year, or 2 or 3 months out of the year, what happens? It's just the New York State flag flying there? Until the city flag is?
That's correct.
Okay. And would the city flag replace the New York State flag? And then, just curious.
I'm thinking so.
Okay, all right. One other, just a point of information, as I went through the United States State Department listing of all of the national heritage, there were 2 noticeably missing by name. One is the Arab American, and the other was the Jewish American. I just thought it was interesting in these days, these times, that those 2 would be missing.
Yeah.
Would they be included?
Well, if the U.S. State Department included them, then
Yeah, they're there.
we would.
So I was just curious because
we
didn't
did
show up. All right, so kind of one question I had was related to, or the final question really is, on page 2 of the document, where you're down in the 4th paragraph of the flagpole designation, you talk about expression of the city's official sentiments. I don't know what that means.
Well, when you name when you don't have a flag policy, if you let other flags fly, then that pole becomes according to the Supreme Court, that pole would become basically a expression of First Amendment rights, and to deny them would be. But if you make this pole, all poles, government speech, then you can limit that based on what the council chooses. In this case, the council would be approving or not this policy.
All right.
Make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Well, my only closing comment, I think, is that I did say already, I appreciate the work that you've done, because I think it's been good. I think the situation has gotten more involved than maybe it needed to be, because of where I've framed it or believe it should be framed. I think that what you have done with the policy is perhaps it's a compromise, and my only caution there is compromise opens doors for other possibilities, sometimes unintended consequences. So, which is only just from experience, that that's what happens. And that opening the door through compromise may not be in the best interest of the city. So, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Well, Mr. Collins, I'm James McFarland. I've been in your office recently. What's happened
James,
is...
what's your address? Sorry.
I'm sorry, 210 Ridge Street.
Okay.
What's happened is, over a year ago, I went down, I got permission, the sidewalk was pretty bad. Can I take it out and remove it? They said, yes, go ahead. And I did the underground protection, come out, did everything proper, took everything away myself, and then poured the sidewalk at 6:30 in the morning, paid for it out of my own pocket. The next thing was, I got to cut my grass about 2 weeks ago. I got noticing, I went to the sidewalk, and these off-road equipment tracks were on there and cracked the sidewalk, probably 10 feet of it. Next thing, there's no up-front apron right there because it drops off into the dirt and the grass. And I went down to your office, I kind of assumed what did this, they're doing a street cleanup, and I don't ask the city of Glens Falls to do nothing for me. Because I called, when they redid Hunter Street, somebody hit the sign, and basically I called down there, I was gonna fix it myself, it was kind of loose at the top, it was double seamed. I said, better not get involved with this one. The next thing was, they came, I was gonna send somebody over, he came over, got the sign, which was Tom, and he goes, I'm gonna take this back and fix this. You know where you live, right? And that sign's probably down there in that pile down there of signs. And basically that sign's still not back today, that's been over 3 years ago. So I don't depend on, every time they come around my place, they leave me a mess. I pick up. So, and then what they did was they pulled on the sidewalk, I went down to your office, Chip said, well, you got the proof. And I said, well, do and don't. I go back to my house, review the cameras, my neighbor, she couldn't catch nothing. So the following week, I caught them. They turned around with a payload on the other side of the street sidewalk. As soon as I went there, they were saying, well, we can't really do nothing for you because you don't prove. I said, unfortunately, I do. I showed them that, well, they're not supposed to be on their properties. Next thing is, there's a picture of the payloader. I've been catching these guys, like say, about 30-minute break on 9:15, but they were there like 14:00. I mean, I see the conduct of the DPW. I'm not really impressed, I'm gonna be honest with you. And it's kind of like to the point now, it's like, my sidewalk's cracked, I'm highly upset. And I was up there and seeing them go by, they got no problem fixing a cup of coffee.
True.
And then, but, you know, they don't want to fix nothing. I see cones all over town, we'll get back to this later, let's go get a cup of coffee.
Why don't I don't want to interrupt you, I
Yes.
apologize, but let me, do me a favor, call my office, will you speak to Bernie? I'm out of the office for the next couple of days at a NICOM conference. If you make a meeting and I'll bring Tom in and we'll sit down and we'll talk about it on next week. Is that okay?
Yeah, because I pay for this myself, everybody's like, you know, once you have them fixed, I put money, I said, I'm not doing that, I want the sidewalk fixed. I did that for a reason, and, you know, they got their own problems as it is, you know what I'm saying? So I was actually going to donate the money for the police department because I see them run around in cars, they can't catch a shopping cart, you know?
Okay.
So you know, I try to do the right thing, but then I get really aggravated when I see stuff, you know?
Let me work on it. I don't want to speak directly to the issue because I don't have any of the information from me, but how's that? Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll pull the pictures
Come
up.
and meet with me and we'll sit down with Tom, we'll come to a resolution, okay?
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Hello again, Steve Barata, 50 Broad Street. And in regards to the flag policy, especially the proposed resolution by Dr. Palmer, which I happen to think is an excellent proposal. It's very permissive, yet it's expansive in the number of heritages that it recognizes, but it's very limited also in its scope. So it's perfect, really, for the city. And I'd also like to point out that it also takes into account the fact that just about every other, well, a lot of local governments, state governments, and the federal government use this policy or recognize this policy. So it wouldn't just be the city of Glens Falls that is recognizing this policy at all. In terms of when you have compromise, you open doors and you can create problems. You can also create wonderful solutions. And most of the time, that's what happens. You create wonderful solutions. Okay, and I think we need to make that very clear. In terms of the whole gay issue, which is a big part of it, I'm openly gay, as many people know. And first of all, it is not a life choice. It is not a lifestyle. It is who I am. It is my true self. And I really would like people to hear that and understand that. I cannot be anything else. I cannot hide. I should not have to relegate to the bedroom or to the inside of my house. Heterosexual people don't have to do that. Why should we? And I'm also Christian. As far as the flag is concerned and limiting it to the flag, unfortunately for someone like me, I wish I could agree that that flag represented the civil rights of everybody in these United States, but unfortunately, people have to realize that even in 2024, the harsh reality is that it does not. As long as I have to be afraid to walk down the street hand in hand with my boyfriend, to have violence thrown upon me, or lose my job, or not get health care, or not be able to adopt children, or not to be able to get married, those are all rights that are recognized for certain segments of the population of this country, but not all segments. So that flag does not completely, I wish it would, and I'm not saying this with disregard to the flag, I'm just saying that there's room for improvement. For hundreds of years, for 100 years, it didn't represent people of color. For over 100 years, it didn't represent women, okay? So I just think that's something to hide behind. And I think that's what we're doing. And I would just like to say, when I moved to this city 10 years ago, and I live in Village Green, as I said, About 9 years ago, I came home, and I'm openly gay, as I said, and sprawled across the sidewalk, going to the back of my house. In big bold letters, it said, "Die AIDS, motherfucker." I was aghast. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I kind of wasn't that surprised because I didn't expect all that much of Glens Falls, but, you know, just the message that is sent, and it had to be a homophobic message because nobody knew. It just so happens that I am open and very proud survivor living with AIDS for 35 years now, and I'm very open about that, but they couldn't have known that, but they did know I was gay, and it was a homophobic remark, and it was reprehensible. And adopting policies like this and flying flags like that let people know that there are people who are accepting, there are people who care in this city. And it's really important, and it's still necessary. I'd just like to end it with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to let me address the council. My name is Patrick Colton, Coolidge Avenue. Personal issues.
Your address, please.
Coolidge Avenue.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Personal issues. Sorry to hear them, but that's not what this country represents. All right, that country. The last two words for the Pledge of Allegiance we all just took, for all. We're not elevating one category of people above another. That flag is there to represent all United States citizens, not just one faction. And that's the problem we have, is when we start identifying certain factions, we start addressing tribalism. And if that's the case, if this one demonstration of tolerance, okay, what about the tolerance for the religious people, the Christians? Okay, going to put the Vatican flag up there? What's next? Oh, we got to put the Israeli flag up? What's next? Palestinian flag? What's next? Hamas? Hezbollah? Where are we going with this? The flag is there for the United States of America. The New York State flag is for the New York State flag. That's what we represent. Perception is not reality. The issues he's addressed, been addressed. So what I'm asking for is to keep it just the business of people, all people. I served under that flag, I buried friends under it. I don't want to see it reverting to tribalism.
Thank you. Just before we get going any further, when you come up, I'd like you to just address the council, not the crowd, and not just you. I'm talking about anybody. And also, I'd like to ask you.
Addressing us.
Oh, right. I'm just trying to establish some stuff moving forward. I'd like everybody to address the council, and I'd like everybody to remain silent while somebody shares, so we can be respectful of everybody's opportunity to address the council. That's all. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Maria Bosford, and I'm a resident of Queensbury, 52 Autumn Lane. But my family and I spend a lot of time in the city, and we love it there. I was born and raised in the Catholic Church. I've been a PTA president and vice president for 6 years, a member of New York State PTA's Pride chapter. I oversee our district Stack Pack program that feeds 243 kids a week, and I sit on multiple committees within our district. I live and breathe supporting our kids in every way that I possibly can. But tonight, I'm here as a proud parent. Both of my teens are members of the LGBTQ+ community. I have the honor of seeing the good, the ugly, the struggles, and the things that spark joy, and give a nod that they belong and that they're safe. I see the fear my gender fluid teen has in their eyes every time they leave the house. But I also see the joy and hope when they see anything pride related out in the community. Now more than ever, the LGBTQ community needs us to show our support. Violence among the community has continued to skyrocketed, and will continue to do so. I really hope that you'll choose love and hope tonight and pass the flag policy so that we can make this happen for June. Thank you.
Thank you.
Put some of my thoughts down. I'm Molly Demeter. I live at 27 Mockingbird Lane in Queensbury. And I want to say that I also would like to see the flags stay governmental types of flags flying from this flagpole. But I have a question. Why is the American flag no longer inclusive enough for all people, including the gay community? It always has been. It represents all people longing to be free. Flying a pride flag over City Hall won't make our community more inclusive because it already is. Glens Falls has always been a very welcoming city, and I know I've lived here 47 years. Some would say the pride flag celebrates what makes them different. That's all well and good, but we're all different. We have different color hair, different color eyes, different color skin. We're different in a myriad of ways. I've got gray hair, but I'm not demanding you fly a flag to honor me and all other gray-haired people. I'm also heterosexual, but I'm not asking you to fly a flag celebrating me for my sexual preference. I'm quite happy to drive by and see Old Glory flying high and proudly over this fair city. I love our American flag because it doesn't just represent the best country in the whole world. It also represents all those courageous people who gave their lives defending the freedoms that we hold so dear. Freedoms that were fought for because as Americans we all have unalienable rights, which the Declaration of Independence says have been given to all humans by their Creator God, which are the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Refusal to fly a flag doesn't infringe on any of these rights. On the other hand, Mayor Collins, if you and this council allow the pride flag to fly over City Hall, that will be only the beginning. Next will come Drag Queen Story Hour at Crandall Library and then a gay pride parade. That won't go over well either. So please stand your ground, put a stop to the divisiveness of this issue, and remember, Mayor, that by standing on your principles, you are a better person for it. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Thank you. Again, before you come up, I'm going to ask everybody in the chamber to be respectful of the person who's talking. It's okay that we have disagreements in what we're saying. We need to be respectful of everybody and let them speak. Thank you.
So my name is Megan. My pronouns are they and them, which I'm sure I haven't heard anyone else share, but I think it's important.
Sorry, Megan, I apologize. What's your address?
I live in Riverside County.
Right. Okay.
So I was asked to come up here by the founder of Lower Adirondack Pride to speak about why the pride flag should be flown, although am I able to ask a question?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know if I can answer you, but I'll try.
Of course. So I know that there's been a lot of talk, and this is the talk that I've had in several cities where I've had to fight for flags like this to be flown, all of which we've won so far. But I know that it's often a common cause that you can't fly the flag, the pride flag, the progressive pride flag, because then you will open up yourself to having to fly many flags. So my question is, with that being a concern, have you spoken to the other 39 cities just in the next 4 counties that fly a pride flag?
Yes.
Okay.
You've spoken to some, yes.
Perfect. Okay, so then you know that they don't have that problem that we're talking about where tons of people just come in and ask for their flag to be flown.
The fact is some do, and I don't know what problem you're referring to, but some people have many different limitations in the cities. So I am aware of several cities and what their policies are. Yes.
Right. let me clarify. My question is, it was mentioned earlier when this all told debacle started that flying the progressive flag would invite so many other people, so many other groups to want to have their flag flown on government property. And as someone who has fought for this in both Amsterdam, Troy, and the city of Rensselaer and won, and after speaking to cities like Albany that are much larger than this, that's never been a problem for them. There's not this onslaught of people that are like, fly my flag. Not to mention, as you all already brought up, it is a National Heritage Month, Pride Month, the month of June. That's a federal thing, that's not just a state or a municipality thing. I also just want to address, as someone who works with LGBTQ plus folks, predominantly, especially queer youth, these small moments where we are able to see ourselves in our community is literally what keeps us alive. over 50% of queer youth have thought about or attempted suicide in the last year based on the Trevor Project's most recent data. And over 50% on a daily basis are bullied in school if they identify as transgender, gender nonconforming, or non-binary. So it might seem silly to want to fly the pride flag in addition to the American flag, which I presume we're not talking about removing the American flag, because it seems like folks are wondering that we're not removing the American flag, right?
We're not, we're passing a resolution. I would invite you to look at the resolution, but I don't want to talk about that resolution right now.
Okay, so I'm going to go with no. We're not removing the American flag. We're just adding in addition the LGBTQ plus progressive pride flag, which we're doing for 30 days out of the month. And we happen to exist 365 days out of the year. So just for those, who may be undecided on the council or wondering why it is that we want to do this, it's because little things like this, having a progressive pride flag at your city office, having a progressive pride flag in a doctor's office, I know that ever since I walked into this room, I have been terrified in this space, which has only been furthered with the folks who have spoken, because I am a gender nonconforming and non-binary individual. I'm actually slightly a little nervous to walk to my car after dark. So just so you realize what it is that we go through in cities and places like this where we are outwardly not accepted, flying something as silly as you might think as a progressive pride flag literally makes us feel safe in our space. And I really hope the council can consider that tonight when they're voting on this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Megan O'Brien, 221 Sanford Street, Ward 2. I just want to speak in support of the resolution. I think it is well crafted and narrowly tailored to speak to the concerns. This is about flying flags of federally recognized heritage months. This is not a free-for-all of flags. This still continues to allow the city to fly the American flag, the flag of veterans and foreign wars. And I just would like to point out that in my personal experience, when my husband and I moved here 5 years ago, we both grew up in the area. We didn't live in the city of Glens Falls, but we chose to move here. And we're choosing to raise our son here. Because while there is progress to be made, for this area, Glens Falls is a wonderful, vibrant, and progressive community. And I keep seeing that continue and grow. And the future, frankly, is diverse. And for people, for the children who live here, for young adults who live here, for everyone who live here, everyone should feel safe and included. And part of that is what frankly should be a conflictual, I'm sorry, I'm losing my words, but it should be a not challenging thing to fly this flag for a heritage month that is already federally recognized, that is already done by our state government, and frankly has nothing to do with religion. And I would just say finally that something I say to my son all the time: respect is not pie. It is not a finite resource. There is enough to go around. By respecting one group and flying a heritage flag, by respecting another group and flying that heritage flag, we are not disrespecting the American flag, we are not disrespecting veterans, we are not disrespecting anyone. We are simply acknowledging the reality of the society we live in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Tim Healy. I'm at 908 Sherman Avenue. I am also the treasurer for Lower Adirondack Pride. I just wanted to make a few notes because I'm at that age where I come to blanks and I also need reading glasses. But I just wanted to try to answer a few of the questions that I have been getting about not just the Pride flag, but Heritage Month and things of that nature for the last 40 plus years. The flag itself, before I say what I wanted to say, just from listening to some of this conversation on both sides, I just want people to realize that we don't want to open up a can of worms where a terrorist group or a hate group can come in and represent themselves. And I believe the resolution that you've been looking at, and thank you, will cover that. And also, I've studied cases across the country, and that type of resolution seems to be the only one that makes solid ground that a town will not have problems with what the people are worried about. Where I come from, just a little bit on myself, I was born before Stonewall. I was just coming into my teens when Stonewall occurred. I lived through the AIDS crisis, lost friends and family and acquaintances, was assaulted once at a gay organization meeting, not out at a club or anything, not that that makes any difference, but had a couple teeth knocked out. Should have seen the other guy though, I did okay. The purpose of the pride flag is not to try to, first of all, better the American flag. The American flag is the flag of our country, and it does represent everyone. However, with queer people, we do not have, I'm sorry, I want to address you. We do not have that right of happiness and equality. The flag itself is just a fitting sign of support, respect, and recognition for those who, because of their sexual identities, have faced unfair and hurtful discrimination, ridicule, and ostracism. Flying the rainbow flag is a reinforcing sign of a community's humanity toward one and all. With the religious aspect, people tend to pick and choose their sins. The queer community, which is approximately 10% of the population, that's many, many millions of people, and are made up of all religions, all races, all ethnicities, all professions, all sports, all genres of music, everything. There are queer people. As far as equal rights, we do not have them. People say, oh, what do you want? You have marriage equality now, what more do you want? In New York, we're lucky in this state, but in many states, the queer community is not lucky. The United States has not made the queer community a part of the Equal Rights Amendment. The person before was saying people of color, handicapped, women are all included in that now. The queer community is not. In many states, a queer person can still be denied housing or kicked out of their housing, can be denied employment or kicked out of their employment, et cetera, the list goes on. So that's also a reason that we want to try to show support. The young people, as it was mentioned, we, Lower Adirondack Pride, participated over at the college at a walk for suicide. It was primarily focused on LGBT youth because of the statistics of suicide with LGBT youth. They also make up over 40% of the homeless youth in the country. So that's why it's very important for them to see the support of their community, of their people around them. Most people know a queer person, a relative, a friend, a colleague, a neighbor, and you can talk with them and see how uncomfortable they are that we do not have the same equality that the rest of the citizens of this country do. As far as religion, I'm a religious person my whole life, and I'm proud to say that my religion, the Methodist religion, just recently granted full rights to queer people for marriage, for their pastors. So religion should not be involved in this. I don't like to see religion used as a weapon, being weaponized or to discriminate against anybody. And of course, religion should be kept separate from government, separation of church and state as our Constitution implies. I think that's about it. I just wanted to try to answer some of the questions that I'm always getting from people. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm Bob Zink, the commander of the Glens Falls American Legion, post number 233. The only reason that I'm here is to provide you, Mr. Mayor, and the council members with American flag etiquette. That's the only reason I'm here. I do not represent American Legion National Headquarters or speak for them at all, other than to provide information regarding American flag etiquette, which I do have 15 copies of excerpts from the Flag Code of the United States, Public Law 94-344, dated July 7th, 1976. And again, the only reason is to provide you folks the proper etiquette with regard to the American flag. I'm not sure how you want me to leave these copies behind the board.
If you give them to Councilwoman Gooden, we'll pass them around. Thank you, by the way.
Okay.
I asked Commander Zink to provide these for us.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. We'll leave copies above and beyond the number of the council. We'll put them on the table if anybody would like to take a copy. Thank you for taking the time to meet with the Commander this week. Thank you, sir. No, Steve, I'm sorry. I appreciate it. You can catch us afterwards, Steve. I'd be glad to talk to you. Okay? We are. So now I'll go to Councilman Donahue. Do you have any comment? No. Thank you. Councilman Lambert.
I do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ma'am, you got. I apologize.
Good evening. My name is Judy Wood. I'm from Hudson Falls, New York. I was a little reluctant. I'm at the tail end here. I probably should have been at the beginning. I think would have been safer. But anyway, what I wanted to share tonight is that there's more commonality between the groups that are here than I think. And I want to leave it that way. And I'm going to use some notes because I wasn't sure I was going to speak, if you don't mind. I'm going to read from them. Again, I believe in the American flag. I do believe it represents all people. Obviously, I'm going to say things that are controversial to what they disagree with. So as a citizen here and a part of this is I'm going to speak my heart. And I believe the American flag, they are American citizens. We are all American citizens. And obviously they feel that that doesn't represent them. I disagree with that. I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but that represents all people. And they fought for the freedom. And even though they don't believe it, this country was established on Judeo-Christian values. It was the Pilgrims and all that settled it. It's in the Constitution. So if there were disagreement, maybe they better go back and read some of those things. We would not be able to gather here. They wouldn't be able to gather here if we have the right to the freedom of speech, just as they do, we do. It's because we're American citizens. And right now, our America is under a lot of distress. There's countries that would like to destroy this country and take it over. And by the way, those very countries, these people have a different idea about things. They wouldn't be allowed to even speak, much less probably stay alive. So yes, that American flag stands for their rights also. And also, as American citizens, we have the freedom of speech, and we have the freedom to have a difference of opinion. And I would like to say there are some commonalities between us. As Christians, I am a Christian. I have gay family members in my family. We are loved. And yes, we have gay members that are also Christians, by the way. Because God says, I'll take you just as you are. He loves all people. So that's a contention. When somebody said they're a Christian, then they need to know what it says in the Bible. And if they're Christians, they believe in God and God loves them. And we have that in common. Also, when they feel oppressed and despairs, I'm sure they will be like that. What we have in common in America right now, Christians are also oppressed and pushed back and can't say what they think. They may not think that, but that is also very true. If you speak too much about true things, people will come against you in many different ways, many different factions. If you don't believe so, just watch the news. Also, you have come out, you're strong, what you believe in. I don't hold that against you. You're organized, you stepped out, and you speaked up. So we too, as Christians, have also stepped out of the closet. We also are speaking up. We've also been put down. We've also had difference of opinions. We have sat back and not just about gay issues. We're from a group that's called United Intercessors for Freedom. That was given to us by our God, which means we're freedom fighters, not just for what's going on here, but what's going on in the country. We have the privilege of getting inside information of which you will not see on the news. We are fighting for their rights as well as our rights as citizens. If someone can speak up about things that are going on in this country, their issues will be small pieces compared to what the enemies plan to do in this country. So that's our call. It's not just this. It's many things that we know about. We're strong in that, we believe in that, and we'll be speaking out a lot more about a lot of other things. Right now, we are called freedom fighters, and we're fighting for their freedoms in a way that will affect them. Also, we talk about diversity. There's diversity in the religious realm. There's people from Satanists to the occultists to all kinds of Eastern, Middle Eastern religions. They cover the whole gamut. And I was researching on the gay flag. They also have a lot of diversity. They have over 100 flags. I'd like to know which one they're going to have. And other stuff.
Could we keep your comments?
Oh, okay, I will. I figured that would go that way. Thank you. I'll guard my words if I can. Okay, thank you very much. Also, can I speak about family members that were gay? Is that offense?
I can speak kind of like you've been speaking for quite some time.
Okay, all right. I will learn that. I probably have. I understand that. Thank you very much for listening to me. I didn't have to take over time, or I didn't want to offend anybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Peter, can I ask you to step up and just move that microphone back a little bit? Somebody was quiet and spoken, and God knows I wouldn't even need a microphone.
Yeah, that's right.
I certainly don't want to blow everyone away through the microphone. Is that okay?
Yes.
Does that sound okay? Okay. Hi, Mayor.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm all right.
Claudia Bramer. I am a resident of Glens Falls, and I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to all of us, we the people of Glens Falls. This is not about us and them and theys. This is about we, the city residents and the people who live here, and are really asking you to adopt a policy that will help express our ideals that I know you behold of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and trying to make our young people in particular feel like they are included and seen and heard and accepted in this city. I know this has been a difficult issue, and I want to thank you again, and just also mention that this is an institute of government. You guys know I'm a spiritual person. That is not something that I think should be weighing our decisions in this particular moment in this governmental institution. While it may have been founded on the principles of God and Judeo-Christianity, we are here to represent, you are here to represent everyone in the city. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kyle Jones.
Sorry.
I'm Kyle Jones.
Okay, Kyle.
I'm a happy pagan,
What's
happy
your
gay
address,
pagan.
Kyle?
Warrensburg.
Warrensburg, great.
And I just want to make this simple. The stuff ain't nothing about religion and all that garbage. This is about just hanging a flag to represent everybody fairly. That's all it is. Why does everybody have to make such a big deal about it? Really? Why do they have to make a big deal about it? It's just a flag. Why can't you just hang that thing up? I mean, I saw a MIA flag. Glens Falls Hospital has an American flag. Why can't you have an American flag? I think Kathy Holco's going to put a trans flag up sometime in November. Everybody here is equal. We are all equal. I don't care if you're black, you're white, or whatever it is you are. Everybody's equal. Why can't everybody treat everybody that way? And then just put the flag up to show support for the people who voted for you. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Amanda Matthews. I live at 27 Coolidge Avenue. My wife, Erin, and I just came in support of this proposal. I can say as a Glens Falls resident, there have been times when we felt safer apart than when we were together. And when we see a flag flying within the city, it really means something to us. So it would just be nice to see it flown at a government organization. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Barbara Chimiak. I live on Queen Anne Court in Queensbury. I'm just going to read what I have. It's not much. In my personal opinion, having the American flag on the grounds of buildings of local governments respects and represents all citizens that reside in that area. We each belong to one country, one state, one local region, under one flag for every legal citizen. To allow a flag that represents one segment of society would be showing preferential treatment, in my opinion. And under the American flag, every person is already included and valued. There should be no favoritism, as I see it. There are various properties where local organizations fly a flag that represents their segment of the populace, such as the American Legion or the Salvation Army. But these are not government buildings. They have the right to fly their flag that represents their organization, as well as the American flag. But governance buildings should be covered by the American flag because it's for all the people, and all the people are valued under that flag. Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing anyone else, we go to Councilman Landry, please.
Thank you. This is democracy in action. This is what we all sit here tonight and labor with. How do we come up with something that represents, and it's unfortunate, this side or this side. We don't even sit together. That kind of bothers me a little. I, from the beginning, defended the American flag. And I did that because of the generation that I come from. I got this color here just like a lot of these people over here do. When I was a kid, you learned what the American flag was all about. You taught it in schools. You were brought up to respect the American flag. It said a lot about your dad and maybe your mom who went to war. It's bothered me. I heard it again tonight, and I heard it a couple weeks ago, that people question, well, you've got a POW MIA flag flying on that American flagpole, so why can't any other flagpole or any other flag be flown there? Well, there's a history behind that. And I hope we teach our kids today what that's all about. That's the result of the Vietnam War. And we pledged to fly that flag until all the participants in the Vietnam War, and we lost 24,000 Americans at that point in time. We lost a lot of people from Glens Falls. I was that age. A lot of guys got out of high school and 2 years later get buried. So that's the reason why the POW MIA flag is flying. I also want to take a second here to thank Ken Cardinelli. Since January, you've been appearing before our group. You are very, very passionate in everything that you said, and you represent your organization very, very well, and I thank you for that. As far as a resolve to this issue, I'll go back to the thing that I said right at the beginning. Democracy, which is being challenged in this country right now, is both sides getting together and coming to the table and deciding what's best for the whole, not for one side or the other. And I think this resolution that we're going to vote on this evening does that. I think that it will give each side the ability to say, maybe one side saying, we protected the flag, the American flag, and the other side may say, well, we now have an opportunity to be able to promote and advance the gay pride movement. So I thank everybody that's here. I wish we had attendance like this when we had other issues on the agenda, but this obviously struck a chord with people, and I'm glad it did, and I'm glad that we're at this point tonight that we are, where we'll hopefully resolve this, and everybody will go forward and say that I didn't win everything that I wanted, but I won enough to feel satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Palmer?
Are we discussing the specific resolution right now?
If you'd like to discuss it.
Okay. You know, I agree with everything that Councilman Landry said. I think many of you were here last week. I personally was trying to work very hard to represent all of my constituents and think about all of the views that the council has stated. And you know, we are elected to make these tough decisions, and it's difficult. I think Bob's right. It's democracy in action, and we have to listen to everybody and make the best choices we can. I've had some very, very positive conversations over the last month or so with people who really didn't agree that we should hang any other flags, and with people who did. I have appreciated every single person who has reached out to me and who has engaged in dialogue. I think that's very important. The resolution that's being proposed tonight was, I believe, authored by you, right, Mayor Collins? So it does take some of what I had suggested with the national heritage flags. I have just a couple points I want to raise for concern. So in this policy, if you go to the section that says flag acquisition and placement, it says the City of Glens Falls may accept applications for the flying of ceremonial commemorative flags. And then later, it references applications must be received by the clerk 30 days before the date of raising. I don't believe that legally we should create an application process. Everything that I have read from reading the SCOTUS decision and talking to NICOM and reading their guidance is that if we create an application process, then we are creating a public forum where the public is requesting to hang specific flags. I think that what we need to make clear is that there's a limited number of flags that can be hung at the request of the mayor or the council. If we create an application process, we're contradicting our statement that this is government speech. I wanted to I emailed you all of this, but I just want to send it again. I'll pass it around. This is the guidance from NICOM, and it says there are a couple of steps municipalities can take to protect themselves from violating the First Amendment. Step 1, do not have an application process for flying flags. And so that's the first step. So I also just wanted to make sure that I was understanding that correctly. It seems pretty clear, but I did reach out to NICOM again today, and the attorney who authored this responded to me, as I stated in my article, I do not recommend having an application process for flying flags. An application process opens the door to treating the flagpole as a dedicated public forum. So I don't want to hold this up anymore, so I did take the liberty, and you can do with it what you will, of just editing what you had. I agreed with almost everything in here. I took out the part about applications, and I changed it to that the city may accept flag donations because the Supreme Court said that that was okay. And I just basically edited the parts that had to do with application. And then I also added back in just the couple heritage ones that weren't in there, just because I think that was an omission.
Heritage ones from the U.S. Department of State.
So I just want to pass this around, if you would look at it, just to consider it as a potential amendment, just because I don't want to see us have legal vulnerability. I highlighted the parts where I changed words, and I put a strike through where I crossed things out.
The reason let's see, sports recognized connection in the city. Two flags, same category, has to be raised in alphabetical order.
Just because I didn't know how else to address that if there wasn't a...
I think the application is not inviting any group to make an application. It was only those recognized in the list.
That's correct.
I don't believe that we can do that.
I'll tell you what, let's if no one has any objections, we can pass this resolution without the application. And I have a draft application. I go to the NICOM conference tomorrow. I certainly can speak to general counsel and explain to them what our thoughts were. And if not, we can, because I think that having an application, if they meet these criteria, would be good, but I also I want to pass this policy. I also was going to make sure that it's May 13th, 14th, so it's May 14th, and therefore the LGBT community would be less than 30 days, but I was going to obviously not enforce that because it wasn't set for that. That's not what we were doing here. So I'm fine with these amendments, and then we can go back if we find that an application works and doesn't place us in liability, then we can look at an amendment. And if not, then at least it helps us to establish this. Would you be okay with that, Councilwoman Thompson?
Change the word application to flag request.
I don't think that would be okay either. Would you pass Karen the guidance that I just gave to you and the email from the attorney?
So for now, let's put flag donation. It's fine, and then we can go back and amend it if there's need to. Fair enough. Would everybody be amenable? Councilman Palmer, did you have any other comment that you'd like to make?
No, I appreciate the continued effort to compromise, and that was the only, just these small edits were the only concerns I had.
Thank you. Councilman Lamb?
Just out of curiosity, when putting together the policy, follow up with NICOM about the specific?
Absolutely, and I knew I'd need to see them tomorrow as well. Absolutely. Councilwoman Good?
Yes, I just want to make a couple comments. I also had received several calls about the flag issue. And like all of you, there was both sides of the aisle. It's our job to, like we've said, to listen to all of you and try to come up with the best decision that we can do. I think this is a good policy. We are all people. We're all people, men, women, we're all people. If we can support each other, to me this is a really big issue, and I really listen because a lot of my constituents, their concern was the children. And that weighs heavy with me, really, really heavy. So I've listened. I think, we just have to be doing the best that we can. We're glad that you're here because we need your input. And we're doing the best that we can, and I think it's a good policy, and I just think that we just need to come together. It's no reflection on anyone. The decisions that we make, it's just that we're trying to make it best for, I know it's not going to be for everyone. Everyone's not going to agree with it. But we're doing the best that we can, we think, for our city. So,
Thank you. Thank you all for your thoughtful and heartfelt comments on this issue. The city heard from our community on all sides and in all ways. The conversation about the display of the American flag, the city's flagpoles, and the appropriateness of a variety of different options was civil, deep, and included a lot of soul-searching questions. It's another example of what I call the Glens Falls difference, and I'm extremely proud of it. As part of our development of this new policy and the proposed designation of a ceremonial commemorative flagpole for the city, one that continues the community protections of government speech, we invited in and listened to the concerns of Commander Zink from the American Legion, Commander Michael Hogue of the VFW, and Cindy Roberts of the American Gold Star Mothers. Our trusted military representatives suggested that if we designate a flagpole, it's at the flagpole at City Park on Ridge Street, as the ceremonial community flagpole, then the Gold Star Mothers Monument that is near that pole should be moved and could be moved to the Peace and Victory Monument at Crandall Park. This would allow it to actually be closer to the place where that memorializes their fallen sons and daughters. If the council passes this resolution, the city will move the boulder and rededicate that plaque attached to it at Memorial Day ceremony this year after our parade. Although all through this discussion, the city has wanted to ensure that we do right by all involved, that we ensure that all of the stakeholders will find the proposed compromise acceptable and balanced. I believe the stakeholders are in agreement in general. The process and the decision shows that Glens Falls is an inclusive community. Inclusion is not an abstract term, not in Glens Falls, and certainly not in my life. I've spent all my professional life in service of people with a wide range of disabling conditions. I've worked tirelessly to educate and advocate for people who, because of their being different, were misunderstood and marginalized. Regardless of our abilities, regardless of the color of our skin, how we pray, our sexual orientation, our gender, we are all equal and have equal rights and representation in this community. It's a uniquely American point of view that we are all equal. Designating the City Park flagpole on Ridge Street as a ceremonial and commemorative flagpole, the city government can show our dedication to the idea that in Glens Falls, we are all welcome. in designating the other 12 flagpoles of government flags only for city government displays and dedication to the idea that the U.S. flag alone retains a special position in representing all of us. This has been an important discussion in the issue for the community, and it's why I proposed the original flag policies. It's why the mayor and the council have been in deep discussions, and it's why I sought legal, ethical, and practical advice from a variety of people and organizations. The fruits of that labor are up for a vote here tonight at the City Council. From here, I ask you all in advance to continue to participate in your government. I promise I'll continue to engage and listen to all of you, and I promise to continue to do right by everyone involved. Now, do we have a motion to forward the proposed policy number 39?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Just to be clear, this is the amended policy.
This is the amended policy presented by Councilwoman Palmer with the changes regarding the application. We have a motion, we have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Donahue?
Yes.
Councilman Landry?
Yes.
Councilwoman Palmer?
Yes.
Councilman Lambo?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Good? Yes.
Thank you all. Next on our agenda, so that is that we have adjourned. I want to make sure that I'd let you all know that this weekend I am out of town, and Councilman Clark will be acting mayor. On Monday, May 15th, their 15th and 16th, excuse me, on Monday the 15th, the Capital Region DRI Forum in Schenectady, New York. I'll be there representing the city of Glens Falls for a mayor's DRI panel. The Department of State, Leslie Zlotov, and the Secretary of State, Rodriguez, have asked me to speak on behalf of Glens Falls and encourage other cities across the state to apply for the DRI funding. At our next council meeting, the citywide sidewalk and paving assessment done by what I'm calling the fabulous Frankenfelds, Aaron and Sarah, separately in their different organizations, will be presenting to the Common Council, showing the entire citywide assessment for both parking and streets and corners will be presented. Yes?
So I noticed today we passed a 1.5 million for sidewalks.
That's
Will
good.
those sidewalk monies be toward the sidewalks that are identified in that, in what the Frankenfeld will be presented?
No, you and the council will, and our engineer Jeremy Schneidel, you and the council will decide using those assessments how you wish to move forward with the next year's funding. We had to put that out to debate, and so it's regarding the next year's $2 million on funding moving forward. Let's see, I want to make sure I didn't have any other quick announcements. I think we have a motion. So sorry. Sorry. Also, just one last reminder, Ed and Mary, let me know if you need any help regarding comprehensive plan committee folks, and we'll help find some. We need those motions right away. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Second. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.